Now is the governor of Alaska, Mike Dunleavy. Governor, great to have you. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me on, Maria.
So you have got an op-ed on Fox News Digital titled Trump's Energy Agenda Can Make America Affordable Again. Tell us about that. And Alaska, obviously a very important state for energy production. What are you expecting?
Well, we're expecting the president to go back to what we had 4 years ago under President Trump. And that is a rollback of the executive orders that the Biden administration has imposed on this country, especially Alaska. We have over 66 what we call sanctions against Alaska by our own federal government, executive orders. And so the hope is on the first day that President Trump does what he does best, and that's create opportunity across the board by repealing these executive orders, everything from not allowing ANWR to have the leases go into effect that were sold, to getting NPRA back in service in terms of being able to get leases in NPRA, the oil reserve up in Alaska. 13 million acres were taken off the table by the Biden administration. Offshore oil leases. I mean, the list goes on for Alaska. That includes minerals, mining, timber, you name it. All were severely hampered by this administration, but we are looking forward to the day that President Trump gets back in and rolls these executive orders back.
So what are the most important opportunities in Alaska with regard to energy production?
Well, oil and gas right out of the gate. So we have a fully permitted gas line that we're working at finalizing. That gas line would help in-state needs that Alaska has, but also our Asian allies. A lot of folks don't realize this, but back in the late 60s, Alaska pioneered LNG export for North America to Asia. That pipeline, as we would say, of energy going to Japan lasted to about 2006 when we ran low on reserves at Cook Inlet. But Prudhoe Bay has upwards of 100 to 200 trillion cubic feet of gas, enormous amounts of gas that we can help our allies with. And also oil. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline, it's at one quarter filled now. It used to pump over 2 million barrels per day. We have a lot of conventional oil in Alaska. We have oil in ANWR. We have oil in NPRA. And we have tremendous opportunity under the Trump administration to capitalize on that as well.
So the Biden administration is continuing to limit oil drilling in Alaska and across the country, restricting energy leasing in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, which you say harms Alaskans as well as Americans overall. Tell us about that.
Well, because we're holding back on our energy possibilities. In Alaska, when we drill for oil, when we have gas moving, we drill for gas and other resource plays, we put Alaskans to work. We put Americans to work. But it also helps our national security. If we can produce as much energy here in America, in Alaska and America, we help Americans at the pump, but we also don't have to rely on bad actors overseas. We also help our Asian allies, as I mentioned, because Alaska is very close to Asia, closer than any other state. And so we do have a relationship with our Japanese allies as well as Korean allies and others. So by producing more oil, we create jobs, we create wealth, we create opportunity, and we deprive some bad actors of revenue. We see this happening, for example, in the Middle East with Iran funding multiple terrorist outfits that are harming America, harming our interests in the Middle East. And so energy independence is truly independence. It truly is national security. It truly is opportunity for all of us.
Well, Governor, what are your goals for the Alaskan energy? What do you want to see? What would be the ideal situation, let's say 3 years out?
NPRA is back online, and there's leases happening there, and we're producing more oil in NPRA. ANWR, those leases are executed the way they should be, and that we're exploring and developing ANWR as well. We're putting more oil in the oil pipeline. We get our gas flowing to our Asian allies. These are probably the two most important things that Alaska, I think most Alaskans are hoping for. Again, there's other things we can talk about. Mining, for example. We have 49 of the world's 50 rare earths in Alaska. Our timber reserves are unbelievable. So Alaska truly is a solution to a lot of America's problems and a lot of problems we have worldwide.
Well, I mean, this goes back to something we've talked about in the past, and that is the regulatory stranglehold that this administration has had on business, not just energy, but across the board. I know it's not just about fracking. It's about all the rules and regulations that this administration has put in the way to stop growth because any administration can basically put a kibosh on an industry with just rules and regulations, right? Is that what happened here?
Exactly. Executive orders. That's what happened here. Every barrier you can think of was thrown up against us, but others in the lower 48 too in terms of energy production. So, again, we're excited about the possibilities. We want to make sure we have the energy we need, not just for now, but for the future with regard to data farms and AI. We're going to need twice to 3 times the amount of energy we're using currently. And so it's got to be an all-hands-on approach. We have to use every opportunity that we have. And that is what President Trump, I believe, is going to deliver for this country.
Todd Pyro, jump in here.
Great to chat with you. What is your response to, I don't want to label them all environmentalists, but let's call them the far left that says, because of what you want to do in Alaska, Governor, because of what Donald Trump wants to do nationally in terms of removing regulations, that we're going to destroy the environment, we're going to destroy the natural beauty of states like Alaska, like Wyoming, where so many of these energy and other natural resources are located. What's your response to them?
Well, that's the irony of this whole situation. So if we offshore things to, let's say, China or Iran, do you really think they're going to protect their environment like America does? I mean, in Alaska, we protect our environment better than just about any other place on the planet. We get excited if there's a drop of oil coming out of an oil pan of a truck on the North Slope. So the environmentalists, we used to think they really cared about the environment. We're not so sure anymore, because if they did, they would not want us sending everything overseas to wreck the environment overseas at the expense of America. If you truly believe that the environment should be protected, which we all do, you do it here in America, where you can keep an eye on things, but also reap the benefits. Again, wealth creation, job creation, national security. So the environment wins if you do it here in America and you do it in Alaska.
And in terms of those Democrat governors out there who are insisting that they're not going to participate in any of Trump's policies, what should be done?
Boy, you know what? On the one hand, as an Alaskan governor, I'm thinking, great, send all your business to Alaska if you don't want to do it. On the other hand, I feel bad for the residents of those states. I mean, you have an example in Pennsylvania, which was my home state. I came from Scranton, Pennsylvania, but you have enormous amounts of gas there. Well, they don't want the gas going across the state of New York to help folks in New England. So I think President Trump is going to make it difficult for states to forgo opportunities, because he cares more about the residents than the politics of the politicians that are certainly in place in some of these states. And so for those governors or for those politicians that want to continue to deprive their people of opportunities, I say that's too bad. But America, Alaska, and other states are going to move ahead.
All right, we will leave it there, and we'll be watching your work, Governor. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, Governor Mike Dunleavy joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.